Ok, bonsoir à toutes et à tous. Je suis ravi donc pour vous accueillir dans cette conférence avec Franck Arjava Petter où il va nous présenter le Reiki traditionnel et les différences entre Reiki traditionnel et Reiki occidental et de nombreuses autres choses, bien sûr. Quelques mots sur Franck Arjava Petter pour ceux qui ne le connaissent pas encore. Je pense qu'il n'y a pas grand monde, mais euh, Franck Arjava Petter, c'est l'un des premiers maîtres Reiki à avoir vraiment contribué à la diffusion très large du Reiki dans le monde entier. Non seulement à sa diffusion, mais aussi aux connaissances que l'on a. Parce que vous savez que le Reiki étant finalement une discipline arrivée très récemment sur notre continent, en Europe, on a eu quelque chose d'assez étroit au début. On n'avait pas toute l'information. Et Frank Arjava Petter a fait de très profondes recherches au Japon et il nous a partagé tout ce qu'il a découvert. Alors aujourd'hui, quelque chose que tout le monde connaît, ce sont les techniques japonaises de Reiki. Levez la main d'ailleurs si vous connaissez les techniques japonaises de Reiki. Si vous voulez savoir d'où ça vient, eh ben, on peut remarquer, merci Frank Arjava Petter, qui les a donc trouvées dans ses recherches au Japon. Trois de ces livres ont été publiés qui nous ont rapporté l'histoire originelle du Reiki, la véritable histoire. Vous les avez peut-être lus déjà, c'est Feux de Reiki, Reiki et le legs du docteur Usui et le manuel originel du docteur Usui. Donc des livres qui ont été écrits dans les années 90. Depuis, Arjava en a écrit beaucoup d'autres. La plupart n'ont pas encore été traduits en français, mais vraiment de très très bons livres. Et Franck, après avoir étudié chez Osho, commencé chez Osho, a ensuite pratiqué le Reiki occidental et maintenant aujourd'hui, après beaucoup d'années d'expérience, Franck Arjava Petter est le vice-représentant de l'école de Reiki traditionnelle, la JIKIDEN Reiki Institute, et qui est donc une école internationale de 35 000 élèves. Donc je vous remercie d'applaudir très très fort avec les micros coupés Franck Arjava Petter et on peut l'écouter maintenant.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Gauthier. And thank you very much, everybody, to join us tonight. I would have really liked to see you in person, face to face. But since this cannot be done at the moment, we use the technical possibilities that we have, like this on Zoom, better than nothing. It's nice to keep in touch, and it's nice to see all of you, and I thank you for taking the time listening to me tonight, to what I have to say about the difference between the Eastern traditional approach to Reiki and the Western approach to Reiki. You notice I pronounce this word differently. The Japanese don't really have an R sound like we do in our Western European languages, but it's more like an L. The tongue actually goes up, touches the palate. It's Reiki, Reiki, okay? So first of all, I want to say something very basic, which is that Reiki doesn't have any label, no label at all. And if somebody, a fellow Reiki teacher, thinks that my Reiki or says that my Reiki is better than yours, he or she doesn't understand the basic thing. Whatever it is that comes out of your hands, anyone who is here, my hands, is exactly the same, has no label, has no name attached to it. And whatever any of us do, we cannot make this Reiki better. And this is one of the main misunderstandings in, I think, in Western Reiki, that we think that by doing or not doing something, we can make the Reiki better. And that's not true. Reiki is, as it is, perfect, and perfect always. There's no way to make it better, to improve it, to make it more strong, to make it fit different circumstances. It doesn't need any of that. It's always just right as it is. And the best thing to do is not to interfere in that process at all and do nothing. And then the Reiki can take over and do what it does best, which is healing people and aiding people in their healing. So no labels. Gautier introduced me and said, I'm practicing JIKIDEN Reiki. I'm the vice president of the JIKIDEN Reiki Association. But if you ask me, what kind of Reiki do you practice? I don't practice any kind of Reiki. I practice Reiki finish, end of story, just like you. So we're all the same. We're all sitting in the same boat and we're all using the same material to work with. However, in the development of Reiki over the past almost 100 years, in March this year is going to be 100 years, the practical application of Reiki in East and West have changed. And I would like to talk to you about this change. And those of you who don't know me, I want to explain a little bit why I have quite a good understanding of how this change came about. I started Reiki in 1992. I learned it in Germany. I was already living in Japan at the time. I was married with my former wife, and I learned Reiki in Germany. And when I came back to Japan as a Reiki teacher, I realized that there were many things that I had learned in the Reiki training from my brother at the time that didn't fit with my understanding of Japanese culture, philosophy, religion, Japanese spirituality, and their practical application. And I began to doubt. I thought something is really wrong here. Something doesn't fit. This doesn't seem like a Japanese healing art. I then taught what I had learned to my former wife, who's Japanese, and she said, I bet you this was made by a Western person. We don't think like this. Yeah, so this is how I started to research. I was doubtful about what I had learned. I had the feeling, and probably many of you have that too, that something is missing, something is lacking, and you really want to find what that is. Yeah? And you can't get rid of that doubt ever. So that was the reason for beginning my research in Japan. I stayed there for 12 years, and in the course of time found what I was looking for. Okay, so the first thing is the most important thing to remember, I think, for all of us as Reiki practitioners, teachers, all of us, yeah? Whatever level you might have reached in your Reiki practice, is that the original name of Reiki was not just the word Reiki, but it was called Shin Kaizen Usui Ryoho. Shin Kaizen Usui Ryoho. Shin means body and heart mind. Kaizen means improvement, and Ryoho means healing method. So the Usui Reiki healing method for the improvement of heart mind, which for the Japanese people is one. It's not, they don't divide themselves in I think and I feel, but it's I think, feel together. So the Usui soul energy, which is Reiki, healing method for the improvement of body, heart, and mind. This is what he called his technique. And when we remember this, we always know what Reiki is for and what it's not for. It's for the improvement of the body. The body, as we all know, the older we get, the more troubles it may give us. Yeah? So the body always needs help to heal itself, to recover, to be well, and to find a good equilibrium in between sickness and health. and the mind with both of its parts, the intellectual capacity, the thinking mind, and the feeling mind, the emotional part of ourselves. So altogether, the psycho-emotional self, too, as we all know, needs healing. It gets hurt in childhood and in our daily life, and it needs healing. And this is what Reiki is for, and not for anything else. So if somebody's in the business of making a lot of money, Reiki is not for that. If somebody's in the business of becoming powerful, of having power over others, of gathering disciples around them, of getting lots of boyfriends or girlfriends, Reiki is not for that. Okay, so it's very easy to know what it is for and what it's not for. And if you are ever in doubt what Reiki is for, just remember, it's the Shin Kaizen Usui Reiki Ryoho. And the reason for Usui Sensei having chosen this is that he experienced Reiki sometime in March 1922, we don't know the exact date, on Mont Kurama, which is about 15 kilometers north of downtown Kyoto, while he was fasting unto death. So he didn't go up there just on a retreat or having a good time for a few days meditating. He wanted to end his life because his teacher, a Buddhist monk in a monastery in Kyoto, had told him that he had missed his chance for enlightenment and that he would find enlightenment in his next life. So the best possible thing to do would be to end his life consciously by fasting to death and then reaching enlightenment in the next life. Now, okay, you have all heard me say this. Please don't try this at home, okay? Stay here, it's okay. No need to leave. So he sat there and he had a spiritual experience. He said that something hit him in the center of his forehead. He became unconscious, and when he came to again, when he returned to his normal daily consciousness, he was different, he was changed. And then he went back, he broke off his fast. He thought, maybe this is the enlightenment that the teacher had told me that I was not going to reach in this life. So he went back to his teacher to verify his experience. And when the teacher saw him and he saw that change that had happened to him, he said, "Good boy, now you're going to have to go out and share the blessing that you have received from the universe, from the cosmos, with your fellow human beings." And this is when he started to develop the Reiki system as we know it. So really what it is, what the Reiki is, it's his love song to existence and his attempt to transport what he experienced to his students.